Brothers, sisters, friends of all, and welcome back to Lockhart's Kingdom. Now, today, I think the quality of the videos should get a bit better, because now I'm on a gaming PC. I don't know if you can hear me tap or anything like that, but that tapping is the glass panel on my gaming PC. And now, this gaming PC, it runs better than the Xbox does, both at recording and pretty much every task ever. But there is one thing that I want to mention, and that is that this series is going to move from Bedrock Edition. Like, I'm currently on Bedrock right now, but I don't want to play on Bedrock um, any longer. Now that I have a PC, I'd like to jump to Java Edition. So, the point being is that this episode of Lockhart's Kingdom is going to be the final one. I know I didn't go very far, but I wasn't expecting to get a gaming PC, something that's way out of anyone's budget, even my own. And yeah, it's pretty cool. I have a gaming PC, and there's a lot of games that just got shared to me from my partner and partner's friends that I've been wanting to play for a bit. Especially like that Date Everything game and stuff like that. I'm also doing a lot of writing, but I'm trying to figure out how to turn my writing into content, into YouTube videos. Right now, like I have ideas of how to make like relatable short form videos that are 30 to 60 seconds long, like things that writers tend to struggle with usually and stuff like that. But like other than that, I don't know what to do for writing videos. I'm one of them like people who write, and then like I got like a cool idea, and then I'm just kind of scared to share the idea because someone's gonna take it and then do better with it or something. You know, superstition, but yeah, it's all right. But anyway, this will be the final part to Lockhart's Kingdom. Then we'll move to Java Edition and do a better start with a better version of Minecraft. I'm also excited to mod using Java. I don't know what to use for modding Java, to be honest. I thought it was just going to be something simple, like using Nexus mods or something like that, but I realize it's not that simple and there's actually more to it. Or maybe I'm overthinking it, something like that, but I was told to use this modding application called Modrinth, or something like that, um, to get all like mods and stuff like that for Java. So yeah, and what mods am I gonna do? I really want to do mods that spice up the game a bit more, because I've played vanilla Minecraft for years, and I'm not much of someone who knows mods, like, at all. I am in a realm currently with a couple of friends, but that, as per usual with Microsoft, realms right now are down, and this game audio is so loud, Jesus. But realms are down right now, so I decided to make a video here. So let's turn this music back on. I'll be making that switch shortly, but for now, let's enjoy the rest of the time that we have with Lockhart's Kingdom for this final episode. Bit of like a tribute or something. Nah, not really needing a tribute though, because I didn't really do much with this world. I built this house, and then I built that under section of that house, and then I started planning out that area, but well, now it's not going to go any further than that. I am excited to see what all I can do with Java though. We do have that dried ghast. Let's free this guy. Okay. Ooh. I don't know how fast this process is. You know, to give you a little bit of a life update going on in my life, I lost my most recent job, unfortunately. I don't know if I mentioned that in my last part, in part 6. I lost my most recent job due to some bullshit. I'm still held accountable anyway, but like, man, I did, so for context, the only places I've worked before this most recent job was, I've only worked at, whatchamacallit, buildings that never closed. So like, they don't really need security systems in them. And so every time, like, I could arrive to work early and not get yelled at for wanting to be at work, you know? And but this job was the first ever job I worked at that had a like closing system where you had to like open up the building and close down the building. And it was the first time I ever got introduced to security system in a building. But the introduction isn't that fun because it wasn't just like, you know, the standard procedure where most jobs will teach you about the entire building and everything. No, no, no. It was a lot worse. So, for more context to this scenario, this job, when it came to like teaching me about, so okay, let me tell you about how the interview went. The interview was literally just, I just had to give them my name, tell them who I am, my legal name, and then, bam, I just basically got the job on the spot. And that's not even a joke. Genuinely, that's how I just got the position. So first of all, things are already looking shady. Because other jobs, they'd ask you for a bunch of stuff. You know, like your information, social security, blah, blah, blah. I don't know everything precisely, but they'd always ask you a bunch of other stuff too. But this job, they didn't ask for any of that. They're just like, we need to know your name and then we'll give you a tour around the warehouse. So they toured me around the warehouse, but they didn't teach me anything really that I needed to know. They were just like, this is the warehouse. And then we walked for like 10 minutes. And like, there's just radio silence. I had tried asking questions of like, is there anything important that I need to know? And is this something that I need to know or whatever? And then like, nah, I didn't need to apparently know the security system in a building because they didn't bother telling me about that. But anyway, so we get in further. Uh, I get to working on, I'm pretty sure the 3rd day. There was like no training either. My boss just walked me up to where I needed to go. I was like, all right, here you go. Start working. Okay, how do I do it? She said, you fold the boxes and you go. Okay. I had to end up teaching myself a lot of things, or asking if I was paired with a coworker to have to ask them. The boss that I had, my manager, just did not teach me anything, really. Other than one section that is apparently super crucial, but it was the only section where she had taught me personally where like I just understood it perfectly. Compared to the other sections where the coworkers, no offense to them, I did love my coworkers there, but like, oh my lord, some of them did not know how to explain things properly. For being such an easy job, how can you not explain an easy task in an easy way? They overcomplicated it, basically, but I'm not gonna put blame on them for it too much, because, like, I don't know. I feel like my boss should have taught me everything, especially since she's, like, head of the warehouse. And to get to the point, um, so, in the position, I like to come into work extremely early. I like to come in at, not extremely early. Okay, hold on, let me rephrase that. I like to come in 5 minutes early. Every day at that job, I always came in 5 minutes early, and I didn't have any issues. So I went to the building as I did on Friday that day, and I'm getting a phone call from my boss. I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, she never calls me first. Usually I'm the one calling her first. Maybe she has something important to tell me. I answer the phone call. She's yelling at me immediately. She's like, you tripped the security alarm. And I'm like, what security alarm? I didn't hear a security alarm. I walked in the building and like, first of all, the building was lit up. Like, it looked like it had already been like, I'm trying to find the word here. It looks like it was already like people were already there. Like the security system that was there was already turned off, you know. Like it didn't seem like that it was an abandoned building, you know. The lights were turned on and I can see people's like lunch boxes sitting around and stuff. So I was like, okay, someone's been obviously in the building. That's not me. Well, now me, because whenever I was in there, I was probably like the third person in there or something. There's usually two other guys who are really chill who get into the building faster than me. And they're the ones who drive the forklifts in the warehouse. And by the way, this warehouse is small. This is not like a big mega corporation. This is like a mega corporation on the West Coast that deployed their warehouse in the middle of the Midwest. I was like, yep, alright, now you guys manage it yourselves. That's basically what they said. They didn't actually say that, but that's what I presume is what they'd probably say. But yeah, I apparently tripped the security alarm. I stayed at the building, and I was like, okay, what do you want me to do, boss? She said, leave and never come back. Okay, so to me that says that I just got fired. So I mean, that's precisely what I did. I left. I just left the building. And this sparked a huge debate amongst my friends and my family. Some people were telling me that this wasn't legal, that they can't fire you over tripping a security alarm, and that I should fight against court with this. But like, the reason why I didn't do anything about it is because, like, one, the company's based in California. You're not going to win that lawsuit. If you have a lot of money and you're rich as well, maybe you might win that lawsuit. But are you really going to spend $200,000 or however much money that it is to get like a lawsuit to chase after something like that? I wouldn't want to. If the company's going to fire me over a system they didn't tell me about, then I don't want to work there. Especially if the system is super important. I even apologized and everything. I was like, I'm sorry. You never told me about a security system, boss. Like, you should have said something. I guess she just assumed that I know everything about jobs and everything. That was literally, like, my fourth job, I think. No, it was my third job ever. My second, technically my second real job. My first real job, I worked at a factory that worked on electric engine parts for Honda. The job was alright. I wouldn't say it was easy, but I started working there in a bad time when they were in high demand. Not a good decision. Don't if you're gonna go apply to a job, do not start working there when it's at high demand. I don't suggest it. It's not a good idea. But yeah, that job was my first real job, and it paid pretty good, $17.25 an hour as a temporary. And then if I got fully hired on, which would have taken 6 months of working there, if I got fully hired on, I would have made about 21 bucks an hour. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. The only thing that was bad is that I had to drive like an hour away from town. That's the main reason I quit, because like at the time I was going to go to college, and college was actually further away than the job that I had worked at. So of course I was like, all right, well, I'll have to quit this job anyway because they don't offer part-time. They don't work around college schedules anyway, so I had to quit anyway. But I'll put in a 2 weeks notice because I know that's respectable in the job working community and stuff like that. It just looks good on your record if you put in a 2 weeks notice. So I put in my 2 weeks, and then I left, went on my own way. Then I went to college for a bit, and then I realized that I should have just went to trade school instead. Faster programming and stuff. Oh, that's what happens if you kill them. Oh, and that's how you make the torches. Oh. If only I'd known that before. Okay. Dude, I also want to set up through OBS. That I don't know what it's called, like that character rig software that VTubers use, or like, what's that one guy? I keep seeing him on my Instagram reels. He's like a rock with googly eyes, and every time he speaks, the googly eyes jiggle. Like that type of like software. I don't know what that stuff is. I'll probably ask my partner when they get off work. But that that software though, I want to rig up a character. I want to draw well, not a character. I want to draw myself with the helmet and stuff, and have like just two like drawing stances, which is like the idle stance and then me talking. I think just having like on the corner of the screens, like on the corner of the screen down here, you get to see like my knight, my helmet and stuff, and it's just like the idle pose and then me talking. I like that better than just gameplay, you know. I would show my face, but I don't want to because like the main idea here is that I don't want to show my face. It's as simple as that. Our friend Lofi recently, she started up a realm, and take this as a hint, but for my next video, um, I don't have that wand in my inventory. For my next video though, it's going to be talking about realms. And I'll admit, when I first started recording the audio for talking about the realms, I was a bit in a negative Nancy mood. I might cut out all that parts, all the negative Nancy parts, and just skip straight on to where I'm having fun and stuff. The original point of the video changed a lot because like when I first joined the world, I was in with my friend Lofi, but also a bunch of other people that I don't know, and also my friend Moth, which Moth and Lofi are both like best friends with my partner, so like they don't mind having me around because they know me very well because of Sparrow. But I originally started off the audio of that video all negative, like this is why I don't like realms, cause like it's always online and blah 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 blah, so negative. And then once I really started to get into the realm and started playing it a lot more, like oh my lord, my opinion changed so much. I went from negative Nancy to like, oh man, you know, I completely forgot how fun it is to play on a realm. Like, I hate the fact that I was all negative Nancy for a second there, you know? And I changed up the entire point of the video. So he's still in the mix. Doesn't have that pouty face anymore. Now he's just kind of like derp. Actually, I want to talk about Java real quick. I noticed something that Java has and its functioning compared to Bedrock. So like, let's take the fallen leaves down here on the ground, for example. You see the outline here? It's highlighting the entire thing, even though there's only one section. On Java Edition, it'll just highlight the one section. And I found that interesting because that reminded me that like that's how like the mods of like voxels and stuff like that get created in Java editions because its coding is different. It's able to detect the more like smaller items and blocks and stuff like that. I don't know. I can't explain it to you in coding terms. I haven't coded in years, but just saying, like, there's a lot of cool shit that I can't wait to do with Java. I also want to do like mod reviews. I used to watch YouTubers back in the day, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, people doing mod reviews for Java, and like that shit was cool. Like mods back then, I don't know. This is probably nostalgia speaking right now, and of course I know nothing about mods today, but mods back then they were just so simple. You just got like the more TNTs. I love that. Like the 50 times, the 100 times, and stuff like that. I love that shit. That shit was cool. I feel like in this game, in Minecraft, when you don't have shaders, everything looks flat. But when you have a shader, like just the default like vibrant visuals, for example, like it adds more volume, more depth to a build. And since I'm a builder, it allows me to feel a bit more proud of my work than I would if I didn't have that like volumetric depth. You know, last night I made a mistake. I was pretty thirsty and I didn't have any other drinks left. And since I'm still waiting for my paycheck to come in, oh, I never talked about my paycheck. That company was even more bullshit. let me tell you. Oh my lord. Okay, let me tell you about this first, about the paycheck. So, okay, so to access the building, there's these like key fobs that you had to get into the building with. Of course, I still had mine the day I was fired, so I was like, all right, well, how are they going to get their key fob back? And am I still going to get my paycheck? Obviously, it's illegal to not get your paycheck, so thankfully they did, but they did it in a very scummy way. They're like, come back to the building so that we can collect that key fob, then we'll give you your paycheck. So they gave me the paycheck, I returned their key fob, alright? So then I go to Walmart to go cash it out, because this is one of those paychecks, like, that you can't, I don't know how to describe it, but, like, I've never cashed out a check in paper form. So to me, this was like a completely different process than just being paid through PayPal. First of all, why didn't they just pay through PayPal? I don't understand why they had to give me a physical check. Because when I quit my last job, the one before that one, that they still paid me through PayPal. I didn't have to pick up a damn check. So like these guys are just being petty as fuck at this point. But yeah, anyway. So they hand me the paycheck, and then so I go to Walmart, as I was told by my mom, to go cash it out. Well, Walmart's telling me that they can't cash it out, that there's something wrong, but they're not telling me what's wrong with it. So I'm like, okay. So I go to Kroger next. Kroger's like, we can cash it out, but there's an error in our systems, and it's not working, it's not going through. And I'm like, okay. So I resorted to PayPal, and I learned that PayPal, you can just take a picture of the check, do it that way. So I did it that way, but now it's like I have to sit and wait 10 days or just get it now for a fee. Now I realize there's something wrong though in the paycheck. I looked at it and it said I only worked 42 hours for that paycheck specifically, and I was like, something's wrong. Because I did not work 42 hours. So when I worked at that company, I worked 8 hours a day. And before I got fired, I worked a total of 8 days. 8 times 8 is 64 hours. So, why did it drop from 64 all the way down to 42? My paycheck was only a total of like $593, which still it's still a lot of money, but it was supposed to be $793. So I look at the check and I look at the back, and I see these wordings, and I have to like turn it upside down to actually look at it properly. Liability and expense. They took out, deduced $200 because I tripped an alarm security system I didn't even know existed. Now, I was told by my partner's father that that's actually illegal. But it's the same deal again, though, that this company is based in California. Do I really want to fight a lawsuit against California as someone who's poor as shit? No, absolutely not. So, I'm letting this company slide and get away with it because they can. I don't have the money for a lawyer, and there's just no point in spending like thousands of dollars on just getting that $200 back for this paycheck. I started drawing on black paper recently. It's actually pretty nice. I actually was kind of shocked at how nice it feels to draw on black paper. I was like, damn, this shit's cool. Now I'm probably gonna, the next time I get my next job, I'm gonna go and get myself some black paper. When I go play Subnautica again, I want to make a video basically of like just showing off the gameplay of how someone as me who's played on console pretty much his entire life plays on a PC. Obviously you can tell how I'm playing right now on a PC for Minecraft. But Minecraft's gameplay is fairly simple, and also it doesn't help that this isn't actually my first time playing on PC Minecraft. I actually played Java Edition about 15 years ago. I think 15 years ago. 16, I guess now. See, it's 2026. Yeah, 16 years ago. I used to play on Java Edition 16 years ago. And it was a blast. and stuff. Now, granted, everything was different back then, but I did play for a good, I think, 2 years on a PC, and then my parents realized I liked the Xbox 360 more, so they got rid of the old computer, and I just played on the Xbox ever since then. And yes, I was an Xbox kid. But I'll be honest, both PlayStation and Xbox has great games, but then now I just realized that PC has access to those games as well. And I used to try and defend consoles and stuff. I try to defend that consoles were better. And in some cases, they are. Let's take racing games into example. I love playing Forza and Need for Speed more on a console than I would on a computer. I can't imagine trying to drive with WASD, or I guess A and D, on the keyboard. With the precise movements and stuff being a lot harder compared to being on a joystick. Same thing goes for, like, if you're playing, like, Rocket League, for example. You know? I was never a big fan of Rocket League, but say if you are, you know, you'd probably have a better time on a PlayStation controller compared to a mouse and keyboard. Or maybe not. Maybe I don't know how it plays on... Is that terracotta? That is. That's weird. Let me tell you about my drawing tablet real quick. This new PC, the only thing bad with it is that it only has one HDMI port and one display port. Oh, fun fact, my monitor's not that new. It's newer than the other monitor I had before it, but it's not that new. And it only has an HDMI port. But since I'm taking up one HDMI port slot, well, I can't use another one, which means that my drawing tablet either interchange between using the same port that my monitors hook up to, or I get an adapter. Now, I told my dad about this. I was like, Dad, do you got $5? Could you get me an HDMI to DisplayPort adapter? Or DisplayPort to HDMI adapter? Something like that. He said, sure. Well, I think it was a problem that I asked my dad because he's a bit 20 years out of date when it comes to computer technology. He's still using Windows 7 and stuff like that, and he got himself the HDMI to DVI adapter. I said, I need a DisplayPort adapter, not DVI, and he said, that's what that is. I said, no, it's not. There's no DVI port on my computer. And he's like, I don't know what a DisplayPort is, and I'm like, you just wasted $5 on eBay then. Now I'm gonna order it this time once my paycheck comes in. I'm still waiting on it. I think it's like January 17th when it'll arrive. It's very bare bones, but I just want to get to Java Edition as fast as I can. This series wasn't going to stay long. I thought it was. I thought it was going to be another few years before I got a gaming PC, but what do you know? 2025, I got a gaming PC. Which means that I think I only spent about 2 months on this world? 3 months maybe? A few months? I don't know. I forgot how long it's been. This was Lockheart's Kingdom. On Bedrock Edition, at least. If you are one of few viewers who ended up watching part 1 all the way to now, I hope you enjoyed the series. I'll see you in Java Edition. Hopefully. And if not, watch my other content. If you don't end up watching my other content and you leave permanently, that's alright. That's quite valid. That's understandable. I may have betrayed you when it comes to sticking to content and stuff. Brothers, sisters, friends of all, have a good day and or night. Goodbye.